Welcome for those who were here with me yesterday. Welcome back. For those new, um, this is an open forum for questions where we can exchange on any type of questions, beginning type user questions or end type, elite type user questions. Um, to keep it organized, we only ask that you raise your hand so that I can bring you into the fold at the time so that everybody can share into that exchange and the knowledge gain. I also have Robert in the chat helping me or helping us rather with questions. So if you do not want to necessarily take the stage, you can basically ask the question and Robert will assist with the answers. Um, we will start with a round. Oh, one last thing. All the content created, all the feedback is basically offered on a series of marketing or assets link that we created, that I created with NowSite. I'll post this into the chat, and that way we can always visit those if needed. Good for everybody? Perfect, perfect. So we will begin. If you have any questions, we'll start with those first. Yesterday, I covered a lot about the framework that we need to apply when creating a conversation, um, and also gave you a few tips and well advice to keep in mind on how to train yourself or start formatting the approach that you take when using the tool. Did you do you guys have any questions around those? Anything of the sorts? No
Crickets.
questions? Sorry?
I said crickets.
Well, crickets is actually a good thing. I'm going to start the conversation. And as usual, if ever you have questions, you can raise your hand or time into the chat. And crickets are not a bad thing. I actually was preparing something um, for the next sessions or that we can start covering here. Since last time we were discussing on the dynamics of starting a cold conversation or capturing the interest to bring the conversation or the connection about. There's one thing that came to mind, which is something that is important that we need to discuss. How do we prepare for Q's, A's? How do we prepare to handle objections? And I think that's a big part of what we are doing. Uh, Came up with this acronym here, which is a way of anchoring what we are trying to do. Whenever we're having a conversation about a product, an opportunity, it is clear that questions will arise, will come about, right? And if you notice, one of the common questions or things that you can come across during these presentation or exchange is silence. Silence is not a bad thing, right? If I'm having a presentation and there is silence, it could be that the client is deeply following through the points that I'm seeing, that I'm putting forward, that they're actually acknowledging the conversation and answering themselves these series of questions that I put forward, right? Whenever we are, for those who have done this before or those who will be doing it, you will see that common questions, well, from my personal experience, and I would love to have any shares on that discussion. Common questions or objection will hover around these few statements that I have on the screen. What you're saying is good, but I need this product for this. Can it do that? Okay. Can I see this product at work for me? Your competitors are doing this. How does your product level? Oh, you said this. Can you dig deeper on that? Okay. Well, I acknowledge what you're saying. What are the next steps? Or the silence. These are all objections that actually signal an opportunity. Remember, if I'm asking question, it means that I'm interested and that I'm close to opting in. if you can overturn that objection. Go ahead, Robert. I think you're very well placed to help us in this conversation.
Oh my God, yes, you're like this is my jam here. I was gonna say you forgot to add, oh shoot, money. I'm like, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, and spousal. Those are the big three.
Exactly. But these are also very specific to things that we do here in network marketing. Is very important to acknowledge that. Okay. One of the things that is important when handling objections is acknowledging them, right? One of the things that often people will try to do is dance around and move on to what they had planned to say during the course of their presentation. That is usually a big mistake because the client knows that the need is left unfulfilled or the question is left answered. And you're dragging that weight during the rest of the conversation as well. Okay. It's very important. Acknowledge. If somebody tells you you don't have the time, what can you answer to that? Nobody has enough time. We organize our time to achieve our goals, personal development. The tool, for example, in NowSite is actually meant to save you time. This is also one of the things that is important when going into these type of conversation, knowing your product knowledge, right? And this actually, this part of the conversation can actually feed back into what we discussed yesterday, the interest that we're trying to handle each time, right? The need or the fear of loss or the frustration. I don't have enough time to do this, or there is this conversation. My spouse has an input in this. I need to convince her, right? If you look at these Q&As, questions often have to do with the interest also that the client is trying, or that the client has, or that you're trying to adhere to. So it's very important, I think, to always keep in mind that first, always acknowledge an objection. And one of the things is that you have to remember that we don't necessarily need to have all the answers in the meeting. Deeper objections or deeper question are opportunity for another session. Great question, great fact, great point that you made. Let me come back to you with better answers or with more time to address this, giving you the chance, for example, to shuffle, right? So always acknowledge, I would say, an objection. And the next step in handling that is providing a clear solutions. That is basically the facts. Focus on acknowledging the objections when they're happening and closing them with clear solution or clear alternatives. Very important. When you start anchoring that mind state, you're no longer afraid of any conversation. And conversation is a big part of where we're at right now. I think at this point, we have gone through a lot of the mechanic of what the tool needs to do and can do for us, or what we need to do for the tool to do exactly what it can for us. But then the conversation piece is ours left, and we need to acknowledge that, right? I mean, these are things that often enough, as you go to a series of exchanges of conversation, you will start noting the common ones. For example, we acknowledge the three that I miss: time, money, and household restraint, spousal restraint. Right. This is actually a great. When I remember as a salesman, this was actually a great getaway for anybody that was interested. I love it, but I need to talk to my spouse about it. I'll come back to you. Better yet, invite her. Is she present? Bring her in. I surprised myself one time saying this, and I was with a colleague, and he said the client said it's a great idea, but I need to talk to my wife and convince her. I said, well, put her on the phone. Let me speak to your wife right away. Right? It came out naturally. My colleague looked at me like, whoa. Look at me like, well, just if she's the one to talk to, right? Often enough in the past, when you were doing door to door, the first question you ask is, are you the head of the household? Are you the one making the decision? Because then there's no getaway. We're talking to the right person, right? So acknowledge that. If it's a joint decision that has to be made, and this is important for any family product, right? If this product is made for the family, then even if I am the head of the household, I need to have that conversation with my better half and see how they would integrate in the use of the product. If we're going on family vacation, hey, honey, I got this option. What do you think? Can you help me plan it? Is it a good investment? Right? So it's always important, I think, to acknowledge those into the conversation. And also, it will help you over time bring forward a very important part of the business, your Q's and A's, right? Questions answered. Most commonly asked questions, most commonly offered answered, and that gives you the bulk of the conversation that your marketing assets should have, right? Top to bottom, if I know that when I go to my presentation, there will be these questions that will come about, then my next presentation, I'll come addressing these questions through the course of the presentation, making my product knowledge even stronger at the gate. Okay, so it's very important, I think, that we understand that. Understanding our product will allow us to become more agile when we're facing these facts and will have us come prepared with our Q&As for any exchange or for the live exchange that we'll be having when we're doing our sales flow, our messaging, or our exchange using direct messaging on social media. Okay, I'll get this document prepared or I'll add it to the one yesterday and give you this full guideline to keep in mind. Things to put either in your wall or at all time in the back of your frame. I need to turn up my cam. Challenge, attainable, measurable, specific. When I do that, I need to have my facts ready. So that way, if there's any issue, I know how to handle them. That allows you to train yourself. And that's a big thing about what we're doing. The more we are trained in what we do, the more agile we become once we are doing it. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, the other beautiful thing about this is once you understand objections and how to overcome them, you can also go around them so that you don't get the objections at all.
Exactly. Right. And it falls back into this mind state that I have been seeding in the beginning. Don't see the obstacles, see the way around. Right. So again, when I commonly make this presentation, these are the questions that are coming. Then next time I will have that presentation answer these questions at the gate, going over these objections by default. Right. For example, coming back to the money thing, my product has a ticket, right? Has a price. Some of us, for example, have these opportunity that are well, that requires some a form of investment, right? Bigger systems like water purifying systems or bigger investment opportunities. Well, if I know that money is commonly an objection, then coming into the gate, I'll say our opportunity is great. It has its cost because it's great, but we offer method of payment, segmented method of payment, right? So already I have that. There's no money is not a problem. We can allow you to come into these payments. There's an option for that. So already I am already overturning the objection. The question won't be I don't have money. It will be okay. Well, what are your payment options for this? I saw that you have your payment option. This might be a little heavy on my pocket. I would need to talk to my spouse. Okay, great. Bring her to the meeting, and while you're bringing her to the meeting, give her this conversation piece that shows the different payment options that you have, payment installment that you have, and let's take a look at it. It also brings in the opportunity of saying, well, there's an opportunity for you to acquire this service and reduce or balance your cost. Go ahead, Robert.
The other thing that I love about what you just said there is it also attributes to help you build what's called building a buying atmosphere.
Exactly. The buying atmosphere. I love that as well. We're going to have to sit down and elaborate on that because I think the buying atmosphere is something that should be part of how we approach the presentation of our assets as well, right? Often enough, we're concerned with the sell, right? I need to sell this offer. I need to position the benefits. I need to position what's great on it, but I forgot to show who it's great for, right? And this is important. How it's easy to be used, addressing the customer need, making them bring the client to the point where they will set themselves say, well, why shouldn't I opt in? Right? All the questions, all the potential things that I had in mind firsthand, the major ones, because if you have covered the major objections, the client will overturn the rest of the small objections by themselves, right? Because the interest will justify this. You know what? I can take that chance. Maybe I can try it for a month or see the results, right? Once you handle the main objection, the small one, the client will gradually start overturning it themselves. At least I noticed that when it comes down to the presentation of this tool. Oh, I'm not tech savvy. The tool doesn't need to be, you don't need to be tech savvy. Here, point and click. Can you do this? Great. What is the problem? Right? And this is something that you want to start understanding. For example, when it comes down to marketing now side as an example, when you're looking at the different plans that you have that we offer. Okay, let me just grab this here, right? Understand your product, understand why the clients would want this product, what would be their limitation, because these are the questions they're going to be asking you. When you offer the My Social Media to people, if they have no experience in the social media world, they will tell you, but I don't have a Facebook. I had never posted. I don't know what to write, right? And these are the objections that you already are acknowledging and coming. For those who have never done Facebook or have a hard time doing it, for those who do not know how to write or not necessarily how to post, well, we have a tool that will help you do this. This is how it's done, right? Already at the gate, I'm answering a few of these facts, right? So that's important. You can only do that depending on how well you have acknowledged your own product, how well you have yourself gone through that process. One of the things you'll notice is that when you're going through these conversations, these are questions that you had to ask yourself. I'm looking for this tool for this. Is this tool good enough for me? Okay, yes, it can do that. Okay. Let me see how well it works for me. Okay, okay. Okay, well, how does it measure with the competition? Okay. Can I take this to the next level? What about this specific case? Can he address that? Right? What is the cost? Okay. Is it affordable? Perfect. Does it gonna disturb anything that I have already in at work within my household, especially if we're talking about network marketer or home-based business, right? Takes two to make a home or more than one to make a home for sure. Then we have a household. We have to talk to the partners and see, right? Silence is not a big for me. If silence is a problem, then that door would have never opened at the beginning. I'm not interested. I don't even want to give you the time to talk to me. But if I gave you the time to talk to me and all I'm getting is silence from you, it means that you are following. And I have to acknowledge that. For example, often enough, I'll come back and say, good for everybody. The crickets are singing. Okay, good. They're still singing. They're happy, right? Last time, for example, when I opened that can of worm, everybody went into it, the space. And then we had to handle objections, look at clear solution, offer alternative or work around. But one thing is for sure, everybody was all in because the questions were pertaining to their interests. Oh, I'm interested in saying, you just said that. I've tried this. How does it work? Right? So often enough, this is important. And I think when we're trying to create a brand new relationship, understanding these facts allow us to have a leg up in the conversation already. If I know to the, if I, like they say, um, old cartoon fans, uh, GI Joe fans, the motto GI Joe, knowing is half the battle, right? Knowing is half the battle. Because if you come all equipped but you weren't sure what to do, then you might fall short of the whole situation. I came ready for an exchange on muddy terrain, but we're looking at sand. None of my tools will work, right? I was expecting us to be in a one-on-one environment, and now we're in this crowd environment. I can't have your attention. I'm not ready, right? So knowing is half the battle. Knowing the customer, knowing your product, knowing also the common objections. When you have all that in your bag, it's very hard to take you off ground, right? Because you're already. And this is where the 100 or the 3% comes in. There's a deeper knowledge to that, right? For those who were here yesterday, I talked about setting achievable goals, and I setting a rhythm. My law of 3%. I'm counting my no's. You must have heard me say that before, because every time I get an objection that I can't handle, it's a no, and I understand that objection. I'm going to document it, I'm going to address it, and I'm going to go back for my next one. I'm going to add 100 ones to get that 100 amount. And out of that, I'm sure that I'm going to be able to convert three of them. Because after a while, I'm used to these objections, right? If my last three calls told me, well, I don't have the time for this, then I come on the fourth ready for that question, right? If the last six call told me, well, I love it, it's great, but I'm not sure it's cost effective for me. Okay, on the seventh call, I will have that answer ready, right? So that is important. Setting yourself these work rhythm and knowing what you're doing each time, right? We're not just going out there sending messages at first. We're going out there testing what is happening, right? I'm sending these messages with this interest. This is what I'm getting. It's a good one. I'm going to keep it. When people are coming strong of that, they start asking these type of questions. Okay, I'll have these questions ready, these answers ready, right? Very important. And also acknowledge the nature of these questions, right? Because as soon as somebody starts telling you, I'm looking for this, if you can see it, there you are, that's an opt in. That's a close right there, right? Often enough, we recommend starting with product demonstration. I did the client discovery. I know what the client is interested. So I have answered, in fact, the first one here. So when I come in, I do a demonstration based on the client's need. And by doing that, I'm actually also upstaging the competitors because I can turn that conversation around. Okay, I think from your profile, this product would be fit for you. This is how it would be applied in your case. What tool have been using and have you been using, and how well has it been working for you? Yesterday, for example, Tina gave us a great case scenario. She went there and they were doing these presentations. It's like all these people need our service. None of these are giving them clear answers. Already she was handling the facts naturally, right, Tina? That was it. You were sitting there like, well, okay, yeah, this is for me. I'm with my peers. We all have the common problems, but none of these answers are actually giving clear solutions. But I have them, right? I'm pretty sure that you were there thinking, oh, should I raise my hand and ask a question? Because then I might be, creating a problem for the present for the that was very nice of you, by the way, when you know that you have a leg up, not breaking the flow of the not challenging is one thing. It could have been also the opportunity. You're gonna steal the thunder. They're not gonna like you. But facts, if you're able to answer and acknowledge and present clear solutions, well, we can challenge you on that. Okay, so keep that in mind. Often enough, these are simple things that are all part of what we do and what we experience every day. We just forget ourselves. We just forget turn these into methods for ourselves, right? When that starts happening, take it this way. After certain amount of doing this type of presentation or going into these type of atmosphere, when I step in, I'm looking at what they're doing, I'm listening to what they're doing, and I'm comparing to what I'm doing and trying to see, okay, well, where is it that I need to improve my delivery or improve my process, right? Because there's always an opportunity. Even if, for example, you're ahead of the curve, great. But there's always a higher level, right? So, okay, great. I've mastered this. You, uh, taking back again the example and the share of Tina, I'm pretty sure that when you left that, you felt elevated. We're like, yeah, well, I know all this stuff. I'm ready for the next level. Okay, so very important. It always starts with that. I had, for example, a series of meetings where the issue was the same. We were trying to sell something that we didn't fully grasp, and that makes it very hard to anticipate anything. What you're doing is when you're trying to sell something that you do not know, all you're doing is stacking fear. What happens if they say this? I'm not sure. Why are you trying to sell it? Go back to basic. Own the product. Own the product. Okay, very important. There are simple things that always you always want to acknowledge, and that again, these facts could be part of your interest statement. Looking for a tool that will work for you the way you want it. Interest. We offer an all-in-one solution that will help you elevate your marketing game with ease. Book a meeting, come discover, come see how the tool is applied for you, right? So we're building conversation just based on these actual known objections. Makes you stronger in the process of the conversation. One of the things that I think we're going to be doing a lot for the next session is going over those conversation approach because the tool itself, I think we've gone around everything except some deeper mechanics. For example, um, now that we're talking a lot about creating assets, I think it's good that we come back and start acknowledging again what the tool is giving us as conversation. And we start now adding our hows. Before we even start trying to really create these temples of marketing assets, let's start by making our first landing page functional, interactive, handling all these things, right? Because here, for example, having created my FAQs, I could swap them for testimonials, or I could add them after the testimonials, right? Because this is a reinforcement. If I'm giving you FAQs, it's the same thing as if I'm giving you testimonials, because they are testifying on specific case or solutions that they receive. Solutions are the result of handling objections or something like that, right? So that is part of my conversation. Okay. Knowing my service and knowing who I'm targeting would allow me to better steer my presentation. Yesterday, for example, I started with this conversation out of fun, but this is definitely something that could be taken to a next level. I haven't seen any barbecue vegan sauce. So if I was offering barbecue vegan sauce, then here it is. And in this case, I acknowledge who I'm talking about, vegan. Even in this conversation, not knowing, not being a vegan myself, knowing my clientele, I know that I have some friends that are vegan, for example, and often enough I ask them, well, how's the taste of all this food, right? And in this case, I put that as part of the conversation. The taste is a factor. I'm handling that as well, right? One thing about food is always the taste. Oh, it doesn't taste good or it doesn't taste like that. I'm putting that conversation objection there. This is going to taste great. You, if I say you won't even tell the difference between a regular and a vegan sauce, it's the same thing. That's just how well the product is. So sometimes it's very easy to start building the conversation if at least you know two things: your product, and strong of your product knowledge, you know your customers or their objections. And often enough, that's it, right? If I'm looking at entrepreneurs, these are the regular issues that they have. These are the common problems that they have. These will be most likely the common questions that they have. So I should build that conversation already into my presentation. Because guess what? I won't have to answer these questions once you start reading them. Correct? Questions so far?
No, that's good. That makes sense. Once they see them and they read them, then that overcomes those particular objections because the Q&A is already there. So
It's
bravo.
already there. Right? So when
Uh,
you are getting these, when you're creating your asset, keep that in mind. How powerful is the asset is based on the conversation. How engaging is the conversation is based on the answers, the solution, the clear path that it's drawing for the client. It doesn't have to be super complicated. It has to be on point, point per point. Go ahead, Howard.
well, the other thing, if you don't mind, I'd also like to drop a gold nugget on everybody.
Please go ahead. Take over for the next minutes.
Well, it won't take but just a minute. You like how I did that? So one of the big things that I like to teach it is really it comes down to communication, right? Knowing your products, all that fun stuff that we're talking about here. But the communication style, normal people that are not educated in sales, they will ask a specific way. And what I mean by that is, let's say we had a webinar presentation today at noon. Most people would say, hey, I have a presentation at noon if you want to come check it out, right? Instead of doing it that way, when we're talking about overcoming those objections, and what I mean by going around them so you never have them, is asking the right questions the right way. So I would want to clear that person's time first by saying, well, what's your schedule look like tomorrow? Right? By asking the right questions. If they say, well, I don't have anything planned really, now I know they can't come back and say, well, no, I got something planned at 12 o'clock, right? This is very important to understand because many people ask the wrong way, right? And this goes true with no matter what it is, whether it's NowSite or some other product that you're selling. We should all have some presentation that we're able to invite somebody to, and you can get around that whole time objection, which is one of the biggest objections that you're ever going to get, by asking it the right way, clearing the schedule, making sure that they're not particularly busy at that time, and then sending the invite out. So hopefully people, I trust that helps.
Absolutely. That actually gives me an idea for our next series of conversation because asking the right question is everything in our environment if you're trying to make a sell. And like you said, if my intention is to bring you to a set event on a set date, then the first thing is knowing, are you free? If you are free, or not if, because once you answered, you have committed. Oh, I have nothing on that day. Okay, perfect. We have something going on that definitely would be of your interest. I'm going straight into the interest. Here's the link. Here's the time. Here's the info.
So
Right? And you see that.
if I can add
Mhm,
on that, even when it comes to the link, if I'm inviting them somewhere, I don't even
mhm.
send them the link until 5 to 10 minutes before because I don't want them to get, forget or they didn't put it on their calendar or whatever the case may be. So if they agree to it, I always say, they'll say something like, cool, yeah, send me the information. I'll tell them right away. I'll say, I'll send you the info about 10 minutes before we go live. You control that conversation, and the customer is only going to know what you tell them. So you're guiding them the whole way, right? Clear the schedule, then say that you'll send it to them right before. Check in to make sure that they're around, and then drop that link for them so that they can access the training.
Absolutely. Give them something to expect, something to hope for, but also reinforce that. Go ahead, Kim.
So I see that the strategy that you guys are teaching is
Mhm.
more on the urgency and intense. Um, for many years, the one thing I've learned is to respect timing, right? And the only way that you can respect timing is you have to filter people. And the way that I've normally teach people to filter is a three confirmation process. So when you schedule something, you're going to confirm three times. Two times you can do it electronically, but the very third time is either a personal text or a personal pick up the phone an hour before the event or an hour before the appointment. And the reason being is that if a person is meant to be your audience and they tell you and they give you their word they're going to be there an hour before, you're going to have a good chance that they're going to show up. But if they tell you they can't be there, you've got an hour to plan instead of twiddling your thumbs waiting for that person to come on. So now you have full control of your calendar where you never have a gap in your calendar, where now you can be more productive and your income producing activities doesn't stop. I mean, that's just my 2 cents on that.
No, it's a great add-on, right? Because um, one thing I love the number three. Everything tends to happen in a form of trinity here. If you notice, interest, intention, call to action, acquisition, conversion, retention. Three is a magic number, right? If you confirm 3 times that you're coming, you are coming, right? And for us to get that confirmation would be a system to follow up, right? You have yours 3 times. It could have been also an email, a personal DM, and the notification before the meeting starts. But yes, following up um, on an agreement is always important. Why? Because a lot of things can happen, right? I can tell you 3 days ago, especially if the event is some time away. I can tell you yes, but a lot of things can happen in between, right? Somebody can come back and make an offer, or something can happen other than that. Allowing yourself or putting yourself in the forefront of that relationship by controlling, by coming and reconfirming. Oh, we spoke 3 weeks ago. The event is happening this week. We confirm on this day. Everything is always fine. We are expecting you. Confirmation also doesn't need that you're going to come back and ask the question. You already told me you were going to be there. So I'm not going to come back and ask 3 times, are you going to be there? You told me you're going to be there. The next time I'm going to say it's happening. I just want to make sure that you're aware because we're expecting the hour before. It's happening now. We are waiting for you. Join in. Right? This is important as well. Go ahead, Lori.
I did a little split test this week and I asked people to call me an hour before. I piqued them and got them really excited. And I said, I'm really busy. So an hour before, call me and make sure that I know that you're going to be on.
Beautiful.
I
That
And
is
it
love
worked.
it. Love it.
And it
Love it.
worked.
Love
And
it.
it
Love
worked.
it. Love
It
it.
worked.
direct contact, right? And if when it's beautiful in so many ways because remember when you were going out with friends and you made plans. Well, before the due date, the due time, you start calling each other. Are you gonna? Yeah. Are you ready? Okay. This is the meeting point. We reconfirm, and that was a great way of reversing the commitment. Call me an hour before to make sure you will be there. That's beautiful, and that actually helps you on your follow up because if I have 10 people, 5 have called me. I know that I only have to call 5, the one that I have not confirmed. Great strategy. Great strategy, right? Especially if you have built that strong bond with that client. There was one key thing here that Lori put forward. She has established this relationship. You call me, I'll call you. I'll call you. I give you my commitment, right? So this is great. Definitely. Regardless of the way you are trying to do it. 3, like Kim suggested, is great. It's not too much spaced enough around time, right? What Robert also has put forward, making sure that we follow up is key. And the add on with Lori, if you have established a strong bond, put the onus on the client to manifest, to commit, because this is a commitment that you can come back from, right? I told you I was going to be there. I called you and made sure that I was going to be there. I'll be there on the next one. I'll be there on the following one. It's deeper commitment as well. Okay. So these are important facts to keep in mind. Okay. But it all starts with that first conversation. Know your product, acknowledge your client, understand what could be the objections. So that way, from the gate, you can overturn them and allow yourself to create a stronger bond to maintain strategy. Right. And coming back to what we explored as well, at this point, you all realize that we're in that converted segment, that converted list, right? Because having prospected, having gotten that conversation started, the acquisition has happened. Now we're getting you to come to that meeting. We did the connection, we built the rapport, we did presentation, and now we're inviting to close this meeting. At that point, we should definitely be in a place to reinforce the call to action, the call to present yourself. Make sense? Questions?
Not so much a question, but great job, everyone, and salute to you, Lori. I
Yes.
trust everybody's getting some value out of today's.
I'm starting to get value out of you guys' shares. From Tina letting me know this is what is happening, from Lori acknowledging this, from Kim timing in, Robert, what can I say? You're always here. Everybody is singing the same song. I love it. For those who are not as versed or as elite in this space, these are the great practice that you need to start anchoring in your approach. Okay. At the beginning, it's not a race, right? It's really setting up your pace. And once you get into the mechanic of doing this, you do it without even repeating yourself. As a matter of fact, you have created the structure, the process, the prospect journey. Okay. Very important, I think, overall to keep that in mind. Train yourself. Go ahead, Alba.
Yeah, I was just feeling kind of left out, so I'm gonna add in something that just be ready. Use your now site to be ready for the transaction, basically is what I'm saying, is that um I make a lot of offers. Like for instance, people want to pick my brain, and I don't do any free pick my brain. So I
Mhm.
actually have a landing page that's kind of like, pay me to pick my brain. And I get it. People pay. They get on my calendar and they pay. So it's sometimes the call to action, there are some people who are ready to move forward, and it doesn't really take a lot of confirmations. For the majority, yes, it does take a lot of confirmations, but some people are missing out just because they don't simply have that final, call to action that some people are ready to take.
I like what you just brought in because you tied in the use of your marketing asset. One of the things, for example, that I understand is that by giving these Q&As, because from what you have described, Arba, I'm pretty sure that if we go look at your landing page, there's a concise conversation, Q&As, everything answered. So I already gave you much value, right? And if you want more at that point, book a meeting, you get to pick my brain. We get to go deeper.
Right now, I don't know if it's just me, Virgil, or if it's
Mhm.
others that your speaker is like really going in and out.
It's
And
Cory. Okay, let me.
I was
Same here,
just
Arba.
getting
You're
ready
not going
to
crazy.
okay,
text him.
thank you, Kim. I was trying to deal with it, but then I'm like, I can't.
Okay. Now, definitely, always let me know if that's the case. I think I have maybe my headphone is going off
Whatever
charge.
you did, something you just did, it fixed it.
It fixed it?
Yes,
Okay. I actually
yes.
just tapped it on it there, nothing else. Maybe I'll stop moving. That should help. Or
No,
it could
either
have been
way, it's much
a
better. Thank you. I was
much
Hey,
better.
Arba, he was bringing LL back.
LL?
Well, Lady
LL
Love,
Cool J.
Cool James.
Now, I don't know what that was. It sounded like you were underwater.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes when there's fluctuation in the bandwidth, it can gargle up, or when the power of my headsets drops. I've been having some meetings all day. Maybe I was going to switch maybe to another earpiece, but if you can hear me, we'll leave it
Yeah,
at that.
that whatever you
Okay.
did fixed it. So what I was just saying on the flip side of that, that I'm a person that does make quick decisions. And there have been people that have presented something to me or offered something, and many times I don't take a whole lot of FAQ or objections. They can answer it, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Then they'll be, oh, okay, let me get back to you. I'll email you a link, or and then that's when they lose me.
They weren't ready, right?
Yeah.
I love what you brought in as a share. It allows us to go back to what we also covered: asset preparation, right? These people didn't expect you to opt in or be willing to opt in so quickly, and they hadn't prepared the next step of the sequence. They didn't even come ready, as you said, to convert if that was the case. There's also maybe the way they are handling the conversation. If you're saying, hey, I'm ready, and they're saying, okay, you're going to get a meeting, or you're going to get a link, or so you're going to get an email with everything that you need to follow to get onboarded. I'm going to send you the onboarding sequence right away, right? All these are things that they could react or follow through very quickly. If after our exchange, for example, Arba, I say, okay, great, I love it that you're interested. Give me about 24 hours. I'll send you a complete meeting with an onboarding sequence and what to do next. If you had questions, you would have been sold each time, correct? That is one thing. Again, always come to your meetings ready. And what we're going to be discussing, or what I invite everybody to do, strong of what we have discussed: asset preparation. Prepare your assets. And part of these assets now are your FAQs. Go ahead, Keisha.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Well, when it comes to being prepared,
Mhm.
I find that it is very important that you don't just send a link. You don't just say, here's the email. Like, I walk them through until the point that they're in my back office. I walk them through right then and there whenever they're ready to close. That way, the the life happens doesn't come up because I sent an email and they hadn't gotten to it yet, or life happens and something else cleared their bank account first. It doesn't matter. From the time you've made the decision, and we've gotten to that point, I can say, okay, all right, well, let me walk you through this so that I make sure you have no other questions for me, and I'm always here for you, because I always sell that customer service, the fact that you're never alone.
Perfect. Word to the wise or the new in this business: learn from our experienced elite here, right? Because all these add-ons are things that are factual. Keisha is ready. Arba is ready. They have this process already mapped out. They cannot miss the opportunity. If the client is ready to buy today, of course, you can't tell them come back tomorrow, right? So you are ready for this sell. You drive them through the process, right? Uh, it also depends on the client's time. I'm ready to accept, but I don't have the time to give it to you now, or the time to offer that. That would be something. This is also something that should be handled when you're booking the meeting. For example, coming back to what uh, um, Robert said, what time or what day and time are we having this meeting? Be prepared with this time slot, because thing might go very fast. And when we are in there, you came for a close. This is also based on the nature of the call that you're having with the client. If it's a discovery call, you might not have had the mind state to be ready to close when you're a neophyte. But when you are an elite, every time you have an engagement, you're ready to close. Readiness, right? Comes back to preparing your marketing asset. Everybody, regardless, I think, of what stage they are in this space should always come with something like that in their pocket. I have all my assets prepared, contact information, closing links, conversion links, everything that I need to address the opportunity when it presents itself. Okay. I think that everybody, if you don't have, prepare your asset list, have what you need to answer or turn an objection. That's one thing, but definitely to close the sale, which is above all what we are trying to do throughout the process of these conversations. Okay. So keep that in mind. I mean, it's foundational. It's an add-on to everything that we are doing, but it's foundational. We want to have our asset ready. We want to have that conversation process ready. The more time we repeat it, the more time we are prepared. We have our FAQs. We know how to handle objections. Objections, questions are not something that is negative. It's actually great. Because, for example, if I'm objecting and saying, well, you're saying this, but I'm doing that, we're in the conversation together now, right? If you're telling me that, well, I have this CRM that does this and your CRM does that, why would I need it? Okay, let me show you why you would need it. I'm ready for that conversation. Let's show you how it applies to your case scenario, how fast it is, if that is the leg up that my product offers besides the others. One of the objections that I actually am overturning often with NowSite is the speed with which things can be done. Right? You have other platform. I won't name them there, not to create uh, 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 whatever, but some of them require a higher level of understanding before you can do anything within that platform. Whereas with NowSite, agility, right? So often enough, when that fact is presented to me, well, I use this, and I get the job done. Yes, but you're using this, whereas you can get it done within that platform, with one platform very quickly, at least the basic core of the service, right? Overturning that objection that way, knowing your product, being ready for demonstration, being ready for conversion. Go ahead, Robert.
You have Ed asking, can you share your facts, FACS, and your CAMs to PDFs? It's
Absolutely.
going to be
Uh,
within the normal information, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Once I'm just gonna give it a little bit more love, correct it as I do, and then when I publish the video on the Now too, it will be ready for download as well. Works. Uh, give me by the end of tomorrow there, and you'll be able to see both videos and the PDF document. Works.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good. I've got to cut
Perfect.
out pretty quick today.
Yeah, we're at the end at
So whenever
this
you're
point.
ready.
So, yeah, 5 minutes left. Any ads, share, things that you would want me to do next session? As I said, we've gone through most of the pieces that we need, that we have available to use. Maybe the next sessions, we might turn these into practical exercises, right? We'll start with one and we'll try to run this through the hour, getting an idea market ready and running it out and seeing what happens the next sessions. That could be things that we are going to go into until we get new tools. That usually will happen in a few months with NowSite. Something new will pop up. So let's take the time to make sure we practice, run through all the sequence, understand the different frameworks before that happens. A lot of my clients this week are going with the same conversation. There's so many things happening with NowSite, I can't keep up. I said, yes. Why can't you keep up? Because you haven't been running the game up until we update, right? Because if you're stuck 3 updates in the back and we put a new one, you are gonna be overwhelmed. But if you're running these applications, often enough, you'll notice that the upgrades that we make, are meant to simplify the process that was before you. right? From royalty to marketing to the social media posts to the prospecting to now the team environment to now nav, all this is part of the same process. I need to have marketing assets. I need to engage people. I need to funnel them into a CRM, and I need to actively engage with them. None of the process has changed. All these steps have been made simple by adding the AI, right? It used to take a lot to finish a platform, writing the content and such. Now the AI will draft it for you. You just have to feed it the basics and the foundational element. You have to know your product, know your client, and anticipate on basically the questions to close the arguments in your favor, right? So keep that in mind. Expect the document to be ready within the next 24, 48 hours. And I'll hopefully see you through the week. I think some of you took on my invitation, and I'm getting a lot more meetings during the week, which is great. You're getting the value that you need, and it allows me also to understand the general pool of conversation that I need to prepare for the next sessions. Okay, so I'm here for you. Use the service and understand your product each time. So that way the sell is made easy. The process becomes intuitive. When you know something, you can do it with your eyes closed, right? But you have to know it first. If you went in a room enough time, you can go into that room even when the lights are dim or off. Okay? Questions? Well, we're done. It's going to be salutes rather, and make use of the tool so that you can prosper from it. Okay?
Have a great day and weekend, everyone.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Nobody wants to leave. We're still here.
No.
Well, Virgil, I have
Yes?
a question or a comment or whatever. I think that team link
Mhm.
that Robert put in the chat, it says it no longer exists.
Oh, yes. I updated it. Sorry. I'll put the new one in. I'm not sure why
I
it's meant
private
to.
messaged him, but he didn't respond.
Okay. It's okay. Let me
Yeah,
put the new
it
one.
expires after a while. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he didn't want to hear it from me.
No. It's my responsibility to update it. So I did update it during the day. If you click on the new link, it should allow you to go to that. And I think the link currently is set to expire by the end of April. So most likely at the end of April, I'll have to generate a new one. I think it's a system of control that they have to regulate what is happening.
Right, but
Yeah.
whatever you just put in the chat, it's the
Mm-hmm.
same one.
It's the same one. Let me just see
Yeah,
here.
and so I don't know if I'm the only one, but if anybody clicks on that, does it, when I click on it, it says
Yeah, me too.
this team does not exist.
Me
This
too.
one here, the 3W. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll do this here. I'm going to refresh it. So that should give me a new link. I'm going to
right.
copy this and I'll share it here. I did this during the part of the day. Not sure. You guys give me a hand and click on this and see if it opens up.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah,
In the
I see the
chat.
new one. It's in the chat. Let me see. Yeah, that one works.
That one works. Okay, let me update this. Paste. And let me mark it for April the 26th. Great. Thank you. Also, I want feedback on these documents. I know that my spelling mistakes sometimes can hinder the whole process there. So if you see, acknowledge, let me know. If it's not clear, if it's too complex, if the terms lead to confusion, let me know so I can adjust that as well. Will give me a good idea of how well this content is working for you. Go ahead, Keisha.
did I miss the last two? Because I was looking for the last two days documents that you were using on the how-to
Yeah.
website, but I didn't see them. I may not be looking in the
Uh,
right place though.
for the CRM or the segmentation?
Both.
Oh, they're here. If you look at our case study, I have them here in links. The presentation that you wanted is here too. And if you go into the team sections, I have them in the practical course, I think, course, yeah. I added
Awesomeness.
here, or CRM segmentation. So you have all of this here, the presentation, the video presentation, and the PDF documents as well.
Great, because I like to actually print things out and put them in
I know,
scribble
and
on.
I love that you're doing it. It makes purpose to what I do. If you guys are using it, I keep doing it. If you guys were not using it, I was going to stop creating documents. Maybe focus on videos. I'm creating the documents because they're easier as I flow through the work. I haven't been able to start doing the full videos. I'm getting ready. You will see soon an upgrade into the whole atmosphere. It is the thumb. Definitely always look at what you're doing and try your best to improve on your own process. Right?
Nice. Check the chat.
I see. Got it. Perfect. I'll add you. Yeah. So with that said, next week then. Perfect.
Awesome
More
sauce.
questions,
Next week.
case studies will do things. I want to see you
Nice.
guys succeed. Or at least I want to see results from what we are doing. I've been getting some good feedback. People that have been applying and seeing some results. I want to take it to the next level with all of you as well. Okay.
What if
Eventually, we'll be streaming those.
I got a suggestion that I've
Mhm.
seen work with a lot of training. What if you started doing challenges? Do you know what I mean by that?
Absolutely. Will you do them? Because I'm going to work challenges. Like I'm going to crazy create a lot of challenges for you.
Right, but
What
that's
will you
but
be
that's
doing?
what I'm saying. That's really the only way, not the only way, but I'm saying that's a great way to apply, to get people to actually apply what you're doing is to do challenges, Um,
Okay, love it. So it means what? Tuesday we'll have a course, Wednesday exercises and challenges, and we'll try to
yeah,
get
for
some prize
people to
going.
show it, like to get people like, okay, who wants to show what they did from yesterday's challenge or last week's challenge?
Okay, perfect.
Well,
I'll
the
think
only
about some
downside,
incentives, some incentive as well. Right?
the only
I'll offer.
downside to that is you give such great information that it takes that whole hour. If we take time for challenges, you may just need to add another day, sir.
Well, okay, okay. Look, you know what it is. Message support. Let them know that you want more of me in this space, and they will
Yeah, we,
make it
we will have
happen.
to add a like challenge day where you issue the challenge Tuesday or Wednesday, and then we have a day where we showcase
Okay,
the results of the challenge. You
okay.
know,
Okay, we'll do this way. For everybody that is in for this extra day, message support, and I'm gonna message my well, the bosses directly and tell them, well, I'm gonna need a how-to practical exercise day, and we'll get that done. We'll
Yeah.
try to do it maybe at the end of the week, Fridays, so that way we have gone through all the week and we can set exercise, have another week to do this, have some reinforcement during Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and go over that. I think that is definitely where we need to go. I love this idea, challenges, practical exercises, so that way we can really get the wheel spinning, right?
Right.
Love it. So let's work like that for all those who are interested in extra days, message support so they can carry this over to the higher ups. And I will insist on the fact that I'm available. People want it. I'll build those exercises and we will challenge each other. How's
no
that work?
problem. Works for
Or
me.
we'll even do live exercise where we're gonna go and act like you
Well, the
guys
thing
are.
about the difference though is you're doing live exercises already, and you're doing it. So you're doing, and a lot of people are watching. But a challenge, it also a challenge helps. We could support each other with challenges. Like
Mhm.
if you say, okay, I want you to create a landing page, and then we all go to it and whatever. You can
No,
get
I understand.
it.
I'm gonna find a way to actually make it very practical for everybody. So that way, in tandem, we apply these things and we can compare the results. Workshop. We'll call it the how-to workshop. Well, I'm going to offer a how-to workshop and
Mhm.
see how many hours on the calendar we can get. And if we're motivated, that is actually great. I love it. It's going to be a lot more interactive, I think.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. It's I
You're
can
welcome.
always share more if Robert doesn't mute me. So
No, no, no. You can always share. Okay. So
all
we'll
right.
leave the room for the next ones there and love you guys. Love
All
the
right.
offers.
Love you too. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.